I'm Josh Allen, and welcome to the Baked In podcast, where I sit down with industry innovators to uncover the unique ideas and values that are baked into their businesses and have led to extraordinary success. This podcast is presented by Busey Bank. As both my business and personal bank since 2007, I am super appreciative of their support, which really falls right in line with how they approach business. The idea of delivering the customer experience of a smaller community bank with all of the efficiencies, products, technology, and resources of the nation's largest banks. I think they pull it off with a great team with a strong dedication to their customers and their community. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. This week's guests are Drea Ranek and Melissa Nieberle, the founders of Lusso Style, a design house that's redefining fan gear for women. What started as a luxury boutique 25 years ago has grown into a national brand, partnering with major teams and retailers from St. Louis City SC to Bash Pro Shops. Their mission, to deliver fan apparel that's as stylish and intentional as the women who wear it. This conversation comes at a pivotal time. Over the last decade, the female fan base in major U.S. sports has surged. NBA and MLS now hover around 45 to 47% female fans, and even the NFL boasts nearly 80 million women in its audience. Yet for years, women were underserved when it came to quality merchandise. Lusso saw the gap and decided to change the game. Today, we'll talk about how they scaled from boutique to national partnerships, the design philosophy behind their collection, and what's next for Lusso as women's sports fandom continues to rise. And as a note, my wife Melissa joined me as co-host today since she's both a fashion fan and huge sports fan. Let's roll. We got a chance to come down and see you guys last week in the St. Louis Garment District, as you said, down the street. Yep. And I left and kind of went down this rabbit hole of like female fan statistics because I was so fascinated by it. And so just to put it into context for everybody as we go into this, like the numbers are huge relative to female fans in all of the major sports. It's grown significantly. I was looking at like the last 10 years. It's up like 10 to 17 percentage points per sport in the gender split. And there's 80 million female NFL fans.
Yes.
And nobody was paying any attention to them until you guys.
Well,
I mean, I think the term that came up a couple times was...
I love that. I love that you look at it that way.
I saw pink it and shrink it was a term that came up in my research.
Oh, wow.
Like if you need to do something for the females,
absolutely,
pink it and shrink it, and then that's what'll sell. So talk to me about how this. I mean, you've been in the boutique industry for 25 years. You've done retail. You've been doing all that. Where did it come from?
Well, I think philosophically, as far as like women fandom in sports, it's been increasing every year, right? And there's really, until recently, was so little statistics. When we started doing this, like the only statistics we could find was from, I think, Forbes magazine from like 2018 or something. It was crazy, right?
When we were trying to decide if we were going to do it. I mean, literally, there was like a decision where we had to figure that out if we were going to jump into this. And I think
what was the first inroad? Like
the first inroad is that we were working on a special project with the Rams. And
Swarovski.
Yeah, and Swarovski. And we have an ingredient license with Swarovski, which is very cool and very exclusive, and we are getting ready to launch a really cool project with that in sports.
That came from our relationship with Swarovski at the boutique.
And this is Rams, LA Rams. This is after they...
LA Rams.
We don't talk about that.
We forget we shouldn't talk about the Rams in St. Louis.
Secretly on a plane. People are like, where are you
who
going?
shall not be named.
We were like, yes, right.
We just told everybody we were working with SoFi Stadium.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, SoFi.
So that's what it was, but it was COVID. I mean, it all happened. We were actually out there. I think we shared that with you guys.
Oh, that's right.
The first week of March.
Vegas?
No, we were in LA. We were in LA.
Okay, that's
and we were visiting them and working on the project, and it was the week that the world kind
blew
of
up from COVID.
We packed up, came home. The project was on hold almost immediately. The store was closed. It was just kind of crazy. But interestingly enough, all those things kind of coming together. Like I think one of the kind of, if you find silver linings, which I try to, about COVID, it was an opportunity to think a little bit about the things that we were involved in, from a business perspective. And we had a lot of people calling us about the project in LA and saying, why don't you guys get licensed? Like you should be working in licensed sports. You make really cool gear for women and like.
So was it just a couple of, I mean, tell me like the first thing was just a couple of pieces for the Rams.
Yeah, it was just
very
like
small.
and we were working with licensees because we didn't have a license, right? So we had to work with people who carried a license for the Rams.
Yeah.
So we were taking sort of their perspective on.
And they were still in the Pinkett and Trinket phase.
Era, for
and
sure.
You guys were like,
Right.
we could bring so much more.
Right. So we were, and it was weird because that coupled with our store was closed, which is so crazy for us because we had our store for over 20 years. And so all of us, just kind of talking about what does this business look like in terms of like our customer base that we have come to know so well at Lusso. And what we figured out there was that, we always have women coming in and looking for stuff for the games.
Totally.
But they're just coming in and looking for the color.
Yeah.
So even because of our location, with all the hotels around us too, we get all the visiting teams.
Yeah.
They're just looking for a cute navy sweater. They're looking for a cute red T-shirt. They're looking for, and what they mean by that is they do not want what is currently available. They would have done that already, right? So it was a weird kind of coming together of like, I think if we can take these things and put them together, we could create something really
niche-y,
unique.
But then also way more universal than you think. Like once it's out there, people are going to be like, wait a minute, I want that navy sweater too, with Swarovski.
Yeah.
And then it just was a natural thing.
Well, and I think too, in that universal pause during COVID, the leagues and the teams had a moment to think about a lot of their social issues that they were giving a lot of voice to, but didn't really have a lot of time to think about, right? And I think one of the big things that came up was that they did have this emerging female fandom that they weren't really
Talking to.
doing anything about or are talking to. And so that for us kind of coalesced in this. We had a customer at the store that we were familiar with, this upscale woman who wanted stylish clothing and knew what she liked, but wanted something cool for game day or just to rep her city or to rep her team. And then at the same time, these leagues were starting to ask us about getting licensed with women's gear. And it was sort of like we said no. We kept saying no. We said no like 5 times.
Wow.
And then
you said there was a very intentional moment where you made the decision. So what was that?
I think it was that they really just said, we need to work with more women-owned businesses, and we really need to address the women's gear issue. And I think for us, we've had long careers. Drea and I both had long careers. Hers in design, mine in business.
Hey, don't make us sound old.
Yeah, I know. But I think that we went into this with a really different perspective. I mean, we went into it thinking that we could affect some change here. That we had a lot of experience with this demographic, and we liked sports.
Yeah.
I'm probably Drea would say I was a little sportier. She's gotten pretty sporty though. But we really liked it. And then we also knew that we participated in this.
Yeah.
We participate in sport. We go to games. We go with our girlfriends. We don't always have to go with our guys. We had our own relationship with sports. And I think it was just kind of all coming together. Drea had been out of designing for a long time. So it was a decision for her to go back into that space and become a full-blown designer again. And I think we very naively said yes.
I will use the same word. I was going to say
very naively.
We were very naive in thinking that we were going to dip our toe in licensed sports.
We thought we
would kind of check it out, see if this was something that there was space for in the world, and that it was something.
Would people care? Would it resonate?
Right.
Like all these questions.
Was it an immediate hit, or did it demand more than a toe and a little more time?
It demanded a lot more than a toe.
Okay.
A lot more than a toe.
Okay.
I think it was.
And to Melissa's point, immediately? Did you know right away that this was going to resonate with the fan bases in the leagues?
We had an immediate reaction from the leagues, from the teams and the leagues, that they were like, oh my gosh, women-owned business, women actually making women's stuff. They know how to fit it. They know fabric. This is what we need.
Right.
So there was an immediate sort of whoosh towards that. And so we were like, okay, So now we take the next step kind of thing, you know, because we're in a very long manufacturing cycle, like between 16 and 18 months.
I see.
So really it doesn't get to the end consumer for quite a long time. And getting licensed with leagues takes a long time. And then
I was wondering
selling
about
into
that.
the leagues takes
How
a
long
long
that
time. And then manufacturing the goods takes a long time. And so it is a very long
all those timelines.
So I wouldn't say there was an immediate.
I bet.
Right. But the intentionality of what we spent a long time in your design house walking through it, and there's not a jersey to be found, right? Like there's nothing with an 88 and somebody's name on the back with crystal. I mean, it's completely different than what I expected to see in really cool down jackets and cashmere sweaters, and like it's a perspective that you're not seeing that certainly didn't exist when you guys started, and even now it's still.
Well, even
I think
it's like a redefinition of athleisure.
Yes.
It's a little higher end, but you're also repping your city or your team. It's so
I think our
cool.
point of view we do have competitors and other women-owned businesses that are making great fan gear.
Right.
I think our point of view is a little different because we come at it from a fashion standpoint.
That's it.
Right? So
So
we're
what
coming
is
at
that
it from
point of view?
fashion. Well, so I was a private label designer for many years, and then we had this beautiful fashion boutique. And so we were really coming at it from the idea that we're making great fashion apparel that also happens to rep your team or rep your city or rep your fan base. We do a lot of corporate gear as well. And so I think the idea that like it's a beautiful fashion item first.
That's it. You're
With
leading
a
with
logo
that.
is
Lead
great.
with that.
And I think women are such a different consumer at all, but also within sports, that we knew that women want good gear that they can wear all the time. That they didn't just want a cheap T-shirt to wear to the game. And I mean, will they buy a cheap T-shirt to wear to the game? Because yes, we always like something new. But you know, we really believe that a woman wants like it to be her favorite sweatshirt. And it also happens to be a City sweatshirt or a Philly sweatshirt or whatever. But if it's her favorite sweatshirt, she's going to wear it running carpool. She's going to wear it on the weekends. She's going to wear it on the weekend with a short skirt and high heels.
Totally.
Like,
Dress
you
it
know,
up.
women will like work their favorite things into all different parts of their wardrobe. And that is just such a different point of view than the way men buy sports gear.
Very,
true.
very game day driven. Like we were
face
going,
painters.
Yeah, we were going into a world that was just about that very specific 2.5 hours, right? What you're going to wear to that, you know, how you're going to show up for that. And so for us, that was, and I always wonder too about when we first started talking to people, they're like, yeah, you know, women, they say they want this stuff, but they don't buy it. This is what we heard, I mean, consistently, because there's two pieces to this, right? There's three actually. The league has to license you, first of all.
Okay.
Then the buyers, which can be all types of distribution channels, like the ones that you would recognize and know, like Dick's Sporting Goods
I
and
was
gonna
Rally
say, yeah,
House,
okay,
and
yeah.
like, yes, all
Team
those types of
stores.
things. Team stores, fanatics, that kind of thing. And then you have to have, you know, then the stadiums. But those are the buyers, right? So the buyers have to buy into what we're doing too, right? And then it has to get bought by the consumer. So we, again, back to the naive entry into this business, honestly, it's a lift all the way across. Like there's teaching constantly about why we think they will buy that type of product and getting them comfortable with that, because they were like, yeah, but they're good with this. Because they just sold X amount, maybe it's 10% of their total merchandise. And Drea and I were like, yeah, but what are you giving them? Like, is that why they're only buying? It's only making up 10%.
I'm only spending
So it
that
was-
much. I
because
remember before you guys,
Yeah.
I would buy a cheap Cardinals T-shirt and hang it in the closet and only wear it.
That was me
if
too.
I went to a Cardinals
And
game.
I would get it out for the game.
But
yeah.
since you guys have been with City, I have gear.
I love that.
I have choices. And it's not just that ratty old T-shirt.
Yeah, and it's 40 to 50% of the fan base, but it was
Yeah.
only 10% of the city.
Right. So like looking at that, so like what Drea was saying in early days when we were looking at that and we saw like how, and they were anticipating growth too in that. And it was already surprisingly high to me. I think at the time across the board, the lowest one was like NASCAR and it was in the low 30s.
It was 38.
But
I think.
everything else was mid to
40s.
high 30s to 40s. And we were like, okay, so like, but it's a lot of work to change an industry like that. I mean, it is an industry that is committed to the way they've done business for a really long time, right?
Sure.
So you're coming in and you're kind of really tossing the apple cart a bit for them on what they thought was just fine, you know, which is unisex gear, a little bit for women. That's where the pink it and shrink it came from, where they're taking a garment and, well, women like pink, so let's make it pink and let's make it a little shorter. And
Did you have a
No
hard time-
offense to pink. We like
right,
pink.
we like it. Yeah. It's actually, we're like,
It's just a different philosophy,
yes.
Did
right?
you have a hard time convincing the fans to buy it? I mean, that weren't used to seeing it, and so educating.
yeah. I think the harder part about that is they don't know it's out there.
Yes, agree.
So once they find it, you know, it was, so like, it's interesting. Like we did this sweater for the Astros. So it's blazing hot down there, first of all. So I was like, okay, he's going to buy a sweater.
It's an indoor stadium, though, right? They play indoors.
Right. But I was like, okay. But it's a really cool sweater. So I was like, all right. And he's a good buyer. And, you know, we were like, and we've gotten to know him. He's waded into this with us, you know, and it's gone well. And, but I did question the sweater. And then he called after it sold out in like one game.
One homestand.
Yeah, one homestand.
homestand.
And he's
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, okay. I was like, where are they wearing this? I guess it's cold, air conditioning in restaurants. And like, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
so we're still learning things too, but I'm just saying that like, we do have convincing to do. One, we have to help people understand that it's out there and where it is and how they can find it. Like people, like we were at that event and people are like, where's your stuff? Like, where can I buy it? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh,
It's
we
everywhere.
sell to all of these teams and we are in all of these big retail chains and distributors. And like, people are like, where is it? You know?
Are there certain teams that get it more than others?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Very much.
So tell me, I mean, I mentioned the
Yeah.
Astros. Who else? I think when we were down there, you mentioned the Yankees were.
We do a lot of work with the Yankees, and I would say that, interestingly enough, that's one of the ways to skin this cat, right? Because it's super overwhelming. It's like you've got the leagues, and then you've got the buyer group, and then you've got the actual person that's buying your product. So you're like, you got three like kind of
Sometimes
things
four,
you got to get
because-
over.
And where does
Often
the
the-
team fall into that?
I was going to say, often the buying group is separate from the team.
Right.
So the team and the buying group, a lot of times,
I mean, the team may
have
also be
to
a buyer,
align.
right? Because
Yeah.
the team has
Yes.
their own store.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm assuming most of this is selling through general retailers.
So what
Dick's
people,
and-
it's an interesting thing because what people don't know about that is that there's like just a few buyers kind of. There's independents, but then there are buying groups and they buy for multiple teams. So there's some pretty good infrastructure in there already that you have to figure out how to
And
work
then
with those people.
if you catch fire with that one buyer,
That buying
you'll-
group, they
you'll
get to
add
know
teams
you
to
and they
you,
will
to-
add
yes.
teams. Yes.
they also have like a lot of calls and stuff. So like,
They talk amongst
like
themselves.
all the hockey buyers, like once a month, have like a conference call and they talk about what's selling for them or what's not, or if there's a new licensee or if there's something really cool or, you know, and we've been invited occasionally like to speak on one of those or do that kind of thing too. But definitely the buyers talk to each other and they're all moving around within, not even just within leagues, you know, like our favorite buyer from the Blackhawks will turn into our favorite buyer at the
There's a lot-
Bruins.
lot of
You
moving
know,
around.
like they'll move hockey to baseball, they'll move from Utah to Chicago to LA. Like they're all sort of, once they're in the industry, they kind of move around within that. So they kind of like, they find their friends and they know the other teams that buy the same kind of, or have success with the same kinds of product. So they definitely talk to each other.
How prohibitive is it to get in to be a licensee? Like how hard is that
It's hard.
hurdle to get over?
It's really hard.
It's
Like
hard,
we
definitely.
didn't
Naive.
know that it was that hard.
Okay.
Because we happened to be literally in a spot where they were looking for women-owned businesses and doing more in the women's gear space. And we happen to have been working with people on this LA project. Because, I mean, we have so many people who ask us that all the time. They're like, how did you break into that? How did you get into that? And I think
There's a surprisingly low number of
Very small
licensees.
number.
Is it prohibitively expensive, or is it not an
or
expense
is it just
thing?
a
Is it
legal
just-
mess?
Right.
it's both.
Okay, yeah.
But
I
I
can
guess-
only
I mean, you pay
imagine.
minimum guarantees for what you project you're going to sell in a year, and it's a very
How do you do that coming out of the gate?
well. I will say the leagues have been really great to work with because I walk in and say, I mean,
We're a small business.
Where's
We're
the data?
women-owned
We're the
business.
small
We're
business. Like, how do we start to do that? And they're like, well, we want to work with you. So let's talk about that, you know? But I mean, it's still
And
very...
they also know it's a new space.
Yes.
Right? So they're
Right.
aware that they're trying to do something
There's a lot of
new.
growth happening and stuff like that. So I think we get maybe a little bit of grace. Yeah, that's a good word. Because we're all kind of learning together. They're great partners. Leagues are really great partners. I mean, they're great to work with.
So you're teaching as much as you're learning.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Because you're teaching about fashion. Don't you feel like you're kind of like guiding them into...
Yes. And certain buyers, it's funny, like, I mean, we work with, there's obviously a lot of male buyers, right? Like, as expected, you know, all the sports guys, and they're great buyers, but they are learning to recognize that they don't know about the female buyer and they're trying to figure it out. So they ask us. They ask us lots of questions. In the beginning, it was poo-pooed a little bit, but it's funny because even the buyers that in the beginning were like, do girls like plaid? You know, are like, you know, coming to us and saying like, okay, like help us figure this out. How do you
end up doing
merchandise?
some
Like,
category management as part of
it's
this?
interesting because we are very collection based. We're not so item based, going back to that kind of fashion based, right? We really like to design in collections and fabrications that sit together. And so a lot of times, and our head of sales is amazing, and she's really great and stylish, and she's really great at being like, okay, so if you grab this sweater and you put it with that jacket and this t-shirt, and you can add a pant if you're willing to do a pant, which pants are a whole thing.
And these cute
in the world.
accessories look really great.
Yeah,
she's great at building a story.
Yes,
baubles.
she's great at building a story, and we really like to do everything in collections. So kind of teaching the buyer also how to buy in collections and then how to merchandise in collections in the team store.
So does collections mean that every year it's a whole, I mean, it becomes a whole new collection, or do you have legacy pieces? That you
No, I know. You've got that jacket. Is that your design?
Which jacket? The floral?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but there are
jacket.
so some people.
The Lusso.
I feel like the floral
Drea.
jacket and the Shea sweater are our breakout
yes,
pieces.
sweater, that's
because
right.
they're very like fashion-y pieces.
Yes.
Like the first floral jacket we showed with
Oh
a
my
sports
gosh.
logo on it.
People were like,
You would have thought like, I don't know, I was designing with dirt or something. Like the reaction to it was like, why would you do floral for sports, right? But it goes back to that fashion thing, right? Like, and it was a whole beautiful like black, you know, based midnight garden kind of floral. And the buyers were just like so put off by it. Like they'd never seen anything like it. They were cross-eyed over it. But by the end of the selling season, there were like a couple of female buyers that were like, we want to try this. It's different. We want to try it. So since then, we've kind of gotten known a little bit for our floral jacket. I feel like it's going to be like our viral thing. And then we have this really cool sweater that is crazy. I sort of loosely based it off of a Gucci sweater that
It's
we
the
really
one that
love.
says, "Hey, girl."
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and it has like the team names on it, and it's
That's
like
the one
high
that has it.
contrast and high letters, and it's a little bit bold for us because honestly, I don't think that we're particularly bold in a fashion sense in sports, because sports can be so in your face logos and stuff.
Yeah.
We tend to be more like, I don't know, not under the radar, but these two particular pieces are bold and I think unique.
Yeah,
Unique
I agree.
in
They're
the-
bold, unique, they're graphic.
Yes, graphic. Is
And
great.
then, yeah, but the rest of your tone is very sophisticated.
Yes, thank you.
Like you could cross over. You don't have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only wear it to the game.
Yeah, we've had to figure that out though. Like living in this space, like you know, giving enough that people are willing to take this walk with us, but then also still having the things that we think are really important that really differentiate us.
Yeah.
So they kind of learn about that. Like they're learning that we're really picky about fabric. And they're like, kind of have this like shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, people like walk up to it and they're like, oh my, I'm buying it just because of the way it feels. And they're like, that is something we don't hear, you know?
Yeah,
like, so there's a
right.
lot of interesting things that are happening that like, it's good because they're learning too. So we
Are
are
there
very much on this journey together, I
Are there
would say.
certain design principles that define you, that you sort of you have across the line that you can sort of look
I
to?
definitely say I will just say this is Drea's world, but I will say fabric. for sure. Women do really care about
Oh,
fabric.
amen, sister.
And they, that is not something that there wasn't always a lot of conversation around that. And our fabrics, we work really, really hard at those. And they actually are kind of known now. So like we have a wind water fabric.
I know.
That is named H2O. And like now the buyers are like, I'm selling out of your H2O. We need more of that. And I'm like, I kind of dig that they're using our name, you know? And like, so like, and then we've got this really beautiful cotton modal, which is a totally differentiated fleece. Like people are like, but my sweatshirt doesn't feel like this. And I'm like, right, because it's a different fabric, right? But I think, so for me personally, I feel like, but I love fabrics too, right? So like, but I think that's a huge differentiator.
Can you
for
own
us.
those fabrics? I mean, do you own those fabrics? How does it work in fashion? Like, can somebody
There's
knock
no,
those off?
there's
or-
no
Owning
IP in
anything
fashion.
Okay. So it's just that you've identified the suppliers and the supply chain to be able to bring that consistently.
Yes.
Other people,
But interestingly enough,
it's not worth
in
it.
licensing
It's
you
different
can.
fabrications.
In licensing, you can because the leagues are good to us about that. So, like, if they know that we are really doing a lot in that space and we call it H2O, I think they would be like, oh, that's weird now that this other brand wants to call it H2O. They would be like, why are you doing that? Like, you know, they're already doing
That's
it. Like, I mean, I
Lusso's.
think it's crazy because it's really hard in any kind of fashion business to get any kind of exclusivity or protection. And I think the leagues are really good at trying to accomplish that. I mean, I think they are careful. I think so. So you can kind of start, and I think we really have done that. We've been very intentional about the white spaces, which I'm sure people in business are like, oh, just go make T-shirts. Like they need women's T-shirts. Which
Oh, yeah, they say it's easier to, what is it? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yes,
in a lot of
yes.
stuff. But
Yeah.
you guys,
Oh, no,
you
we
guys
have-
went the hard way.
There's a lot of
You
permission.
did-
There's a lot of permission.
Yeah, okay,
When you're
and-
dealing with sports
Yeah,
logos and
right.
that kind of IP, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of permission.
Exactly.
And very little
And I-
forgiveness asked because you just don't even want to go there. You
Well,
don't
that's
wanna
it.
go
I
there.
mean,
do let us
they'll
do-
close you down. They'll pull you. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
friend that had an Etsy shop, and
Oh, yeah.
they have AI now searching for
Yes.
unlicensed thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
They're
are-
getting good at making sure they get their royalty, right?
exactly.
Well, and I think there are makers out there, and I personally love makers. Like we are fans of makers. It's, you know, my Christmas list is all, you know, makers. But there are a lot of makers out there that don't understand the licensing landscape. So they don't realize that they're violating
They're
it by
violating.
making a product
Right.
out of a licensed fabric doesn't mean you can go sell it.
Yes.
Right? Like licensed
Yeah.
fabrics,
True,
like
true.
those kinds of things are really considered
Yeah, like you
for
can
home
buy
use.
Cardinals fabric at the fabric store. And then people go,
And they make
Make a
it, but if you
jacket
put it on
and-
Etsy,
Correct.
yeah,
And
then
try and
that's
sell
a whole
it.
another
Yes.
thing.
different
let's take a break for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we come back, I kind of want to pivot a little bit into kind of leadership and what you guys are building as an organization. Because I
The
think
secret
that's
sauce, Josh.
Yeah, there it is.
Cool. All right. We
That's
love the
baked in.
secret sauce.
See what you did there.
oh my God.
I'm excited to introduce a new partner for the show, the Normal brand, proudly based right here in St. Louis. If you caught episode 67, you heard my conversation with co-founder Jimmy Sansone. Great guy, great story, and a brand that truly reflects Midwestern values and style. Now, as a baker, business owner, and podcast host, I spend my days bouncing between flower-covered aprons, Zoom calls, and great conversation. I need clothes that can keep up, and maybe even look like I might have my life together. The Normal brand delivers. Their vintage thermal Henleys, cozy sweaters, and sharp button-downs are staples in my dad-inspired closet, and date night approved. And because they're awesome, they're giving you 15% off one purchase of regularly priced clothing. Just use the code BAKEDIN at checkout. Head to thenormalbrand.com and find your new favorite look.
Cashmere,
Yes.
pockets,
And thumb
Pockets.
and thumb holes.
Yes, girls love pockets.
Details.
That is
Details.
definitely a whole value in itself. Of one of
Details
the things
matter
that we do.
for sure.
Details matter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of leadership and culture, then, is that hard to? How do you find people, and how do you build a culture that believes in details matter and all of that?
Ooh, that's tough.
Okay, so we have
You
grown.
mentioned you have like 27 folks.
We have grown incredibly fast. Like we were it feels like yesterday that there were 3 of us in Melissa's kitchen during COVID.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
I mean, like, and it really hasn't been very long. Like, so
No, it really
our
hasn't.
growth, we have 28 in our group, and that includes now, we have a lot of out of town consultants that we work with. One of my designers is in LA.
But you consider them part of the
We consider them part of our team, yes. So our team is about 28 now. And we have an office in the Garment District right here in downtown St. Louis that we love. It's in a cool industrial building. Our offices are very admittedly cool and stylish.
The coolest. It's like
I mean, the art in there was...
the art, the couches.
Yes. Props to Jason Johnson on the art and the couches. But it's funny because when we get on Zooms with like big companies, like they're in a cubicle. And they're looking at our chandeliers behind our heads and our funky art, and they're like, "Where are you guys at? You're in St. Louis. Like, what is everything like that in St. Louis?
Like,
it's kind of a funny
it
thing.
doesn't cost a lot to live here, and
It's a
we are
wonderful
still
place to
cool.
live.
Yeah, and they come visit us, and I think that's actually really important. I mean, we have a show that we do that like Drea said, our head of sales is amazing, and our sales team, and they go on the road and meet with people. But when people come to see us, so some of our buyers, like we've got appointments already for next year, they come to our design house. They kind of lose their
do,
mind.
I bet.
They're like, wait a minute, this is like so much more than what I thought was happening here. And so that's kind of cool and eye-opening, I think, for them.
So I don't want to leave the culture thing, though, because
Yes, I
it's
was
not
gonna
easy
say.
to grow from 3 to 28.
It is
in
not.
2 years, 2.5 years?
We've had some change.
That's-
I mean, I think
What
Three
has
or
been-
3 or
what's-
4 years.
What's the hardest part? Because you went into this kind of excited to get back into design, and you're managing.
It's interesting.
designers,
I
right?
think it's been easy to find cool design people
Talent.
in St. Louis and talent. I mean, there's so much of it in St. Louis. And so that has actually been easy to find. We are a women owned and operated, we're all girls. We've got a few boys up in there, doing a few things, but really we're 98% women. And we've got women that are, what's our youngest, 20 to 62.
Awesome.
And it's amazing.
And everyone has input.
Everyone has input, and it's so funny. We walked into the office this morning, and my husband had dropped off a cartload of snacks from Costco last night, and our one sweet intern guy is leaving to go to the Blackhawks, and so I had brought in Donut Drive-In, and they were in there unpacking the snacks, playing Christmas
Holiday
music,
music.
and their donuts, and I was like, oh, I love this.
Your
guy.
office is like it is like a set for a cool TV show about, like, there should be a show about you guys,
Oh, okay. Okay. You guys can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
all the time.
right?
I will say, so
Except
that's a little bit of a
except
rosy
then
picture.
then you see the ugly
Drew's painting
stuff.
a rosy picture. I'm going to say that this is
the building is hard. Building the team is hard. Finding the people is not.
This is a very gritty, demanding business.
Yes.
High growth, but really
High expectation.
Yes. And not everybody is excited about that endeavor.
Right.
Because sports sounds real sexy. Like, it's cool. We get to work with everybody's marks and logos and all that kind of stuff. So to some people who come to work with us, it's cool that, they're thinking about it that way. But there's a lot of not so awesome stuff that we have to do. I tell people all the time, I'm like, 50% of the time you're going to get to do stuff you really love here. But right now, in the growth mode that we're in,
That's it.
people have lots of things they have to do.
What's the
Can you
not
hang?
awesome
Yeah,
stuff?
can you
The
hang
not awesome
during
stuff
that?
is
Stop-
that, so
start
there's a
up
good
mode
one
is
for
hard.
you. An entire order for Bass Pro comes in, no holograms attached. That's supposed to happen at the factory level.
Yeah, wow.
So this
What do
is-
you-
10,000 pieces. Every one of them's bagged and folded with their tissue
And
paper
boxed.
inside of them and ready to go to Bass Pro. So what that looks like,
And it comes
And
to
it's-
you.
and the
no, it goes to
shipment-
our warehouse.
And the shipment is running late, and we need to get
Oh,
it, turn
Yes,
it around,
tariff,
and get
tariff
it
land.
out.
It's everything's
already
late.
late.
Everything's
Got
pushing.
stuck at the port,
It's total insanity.
Tariffs.
So that looks like
we'll come back to
our
that
head of
later.
ops that calls me, tells me what's happening, and it looks like a text from me to the entire team that says, put on something dark, you're going to get dirty,
Wear
and
your
meet me at the
sweats
warehouse
tomorrow.
in 30 minutes.
And did you guys have like razor blades to get into, so you didn't ruin anything, but like
turned out
like real
the
stealth to get in?
The really, really lucky
have
thing.
had to do that before.
Yes, we have had to do that. But the really lucky thing with this is that they used resealable bags.
Oh, amen.
Yes.
Which we didn't.
What
know.
is it for those of us that don't know? What is a hologram?
Okay. So the hologram that's sport. That's licensed sports. Yeah. So you get these pretty little, you do know what they
seal
are.
of
It's this pretty little
authenticity.
silver shiny thing that's on any piece of gear that is truly licensed.
It just says
Officially licensed.
So like we have
Each hologram is different.
Yes,
So
every
the
league has their own
MLSs,
holograms,
yes,
and
different colleges have them.
It's very important because it also has to do, like, we cannot release those holograms. We control the holograms and the purchasing of those. For a couple of leagues, they're numbered. So there's a
Which
lot
helps with
that,
black market, eliminate black
very-
market
Yeah,
stuff.
resale, all that.
Yes, very tied up in their IP, like, right? So that they know that you have been given the rights to produce something for them with their marks on it, right? So that has to accompany every single piece of merchandise that we make.
So how does the warehouse forget, or how does the manufacturer forget to put this in?
Oh, that was a series of bad
Well,
events
so-
that happened with that one. I mean, honestly, it was just that we had the person who was coordinating holograms had left. We were trying a new vendor. We were on a really short timeline. It was just.
It was everything.
It was
that
a
could be
multitude
wrong
of
was
issues.
wrong.
Yes, that's
But
one of those
I will
things.
also say though, we work with fashion manufacturing, so
They don't understand.
They're not
there's a
as
big learning
schooled.
curve for them too, because we want
And
these
lace
beautiful fabrics and we want these jacquard sweaters and with the pretty, like as Sylvia says, it's so much prettier than me. Sylvia's from Colombia. She has this beautiful accent that she talks about the romantic sleeve, but she rolls her R and it sounds so much better. But those sweaters are made in fashion house, like fashion factories, like that's what they
They're not
do.
used to putting holograms in.
But they're excited about it because they also recognize there is this opportunity, right? So they want to work with us. So I think we just,
But it's a learning
sometimes
curve.
we're like, oh my gosh, we took the hard way, every possible way that we could go. We did. But back to your, like, what does that mean? It means we all go to the warehouse and everything gets put on ice for the day, which isn't good when you have a business that's very tightly timed on
Can
everything.
you hologram 10,000 pieces in a day?
We got it just about done.
Oh.
It was a long day.
Right.
It was a really long
lot of
day.
people.
But I mean, I think that's what I mean about, like, for me, those kinds of things should bring a team closer.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's some sorting out of that happens. And I don't blame a young person they want to work 40 hours a week. They would love to be remote. They would there's a lot of things that they would like that just aren't, we can't do it. Like, it doesn't work in our business. And so I think the hard part for us was realizing that everybody wasn't going to love us and want to work for us.
Yeah.
I really
We're not
wanted
a good
everybody
fit for everybody.
I really wanted everybody to love us and want to work with us, And
You guys are a little intense, right?
she's way more intense than me, but
They're in charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're blazing trails. I mean,
Unfortunately, we kind of can't not be.
Yeah, that's it.
there's
And the attention to detail.
So much
and the
to wrangle.
perfectionism.
Yeah.
and,
also,
I
are
do-
you like creating jobs as they're needed? I mean, because like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. You get to a point and you're like, okay, so we got to hire
We've gotta
another
get, like,
designer,
an-
or we
yeah.
gotta, we gotta do this. And there's a lot of balance in that with cash flow, because cash flow is really crazy in this business too, because you're
'cause
creating
you're 16 months out on a line.
So there's a lot to be stressed about at times with that too.
we
And-
know that in the bakery business.
Yeah.
The 90-day invoicing.
Yeah.
and
Yes. The invoicing
everybody
and
pays the bread
Yeah.
maker last.
Yeah.
or maybe the fashion
But
designer and the bread maker.
But I would love for everybody, I would love to do that. But me specifically had to learn was that we could not be those things to everybody, and that we had to finally just say, this is what we have to have.
Yep.
And so for me, there was a lot of change between when we started our business and who we started with to like when I interview people now, it's very specific. It's like, this is what we have to have.
I'm sure, right? You don't
This
have
is,
time to
you know,
mess around.
pretty
because I don't
honest.
want them
Being pretty honest.
I don't want them to come to me in 2 months and be like, so I was really hoping that I would never work on a weekend. That's not.
Or I don't know about driving to
But I
down
do,
to Midtown. You're
But I
like,
do
well,
tell
that's
them
where we
that
are.
I do feel like that's part of what drives Drea and myself, though, is opportunities for young women, though.
Absolutely.
That we really do feel like they should, like, if a girl leaves our business, which it's almost all women, so I can say that, I would want them to feel like they walked out the door and knew they could do any job they wanted to do.
Awesome.
So you learn that being in a really heavily male-dominated
Yeah,
space, they see our struggles. They see how hard we have to work to get our product in the door, to get somebody to take a meeting with us, I talk about our bingo card, to fill our bingo card, which is this interesting combination of licensing and distribution. And I'm pretty open and honest about things, you know, like 25 was not a good year. And everybody knows it. I mean,
For anybody.
For a lot of stuff we couldn't control, but it was not good timing for that, you know? So I think it's really important that they understand those things, you know, that I think that's the stuff that like my daughter works in our business. She you know, came home.
She's our CPA.
And she's our in-house CPA. And I think oh my gosh, she can't even, she probably would have a difficult time quantifying how much she's learned from everything from like the personal side of owning a business and running a business and people and, you know, that work for you and stuff like that, to literally the business itself. And like I mean, there's just so much to learn. So for me, I always feel like it's so, if you're risk averse at all, don't come to work for me.
It's not a place for you.
I do say that to them.
How do you foster, I mean, if I think about people coming in with the excitement to be designers and be part of, how do you foster that creativity coupled with like the operational discipline of this stuff's got to cost a certain amount of money and it has to be able to get produced and we've got a tariff in this country.
You got a margin that you got to hit.
And so how do you teach them that and not like deflate their excitement for just really wanting to design?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm the deflator. So like that is how this business operates. And actually I think it's important that it operates.
You just say, I'd love to let you do that, but Melissa won't let that happen.
I might blame a few things on her.
But she also might be the person that I don't want to slow down out of the chute. I want her, we have a project yesterday. We're working on a project for somebody that's actually private label, but also for a couple of really key teams. And it's fun for me. I get to sit in the design meetings and stuff like that. And I'm kind of ticking along with them while they're talking about details and things like that. And so sometimes after the meeting with Drea,
she'll be like, great to have in a design meeting.
But she'll be like, where can we go with this? And I'll be like, okay, so $50. You can't go above $50. So then that starts her kind of work with the sourcing team and like, what kind of fabric are we going to use? So that to her tells her right there, is cotton modal in or out?
And there's you have your boundaries kind of set from the fact, because otherwise you're like,
the constraint, the constraint creates, it's actually a good thing, right? Like now you have your box in which you can work in, and at least you're not just going anywhere. Right?
Yes,
absolutely. It's good to have guardrails, you know, and that's funny because we have so much, we handle so much IP from the teams. Like we get these IP guidelines, logo guidelines from every team that we're licensed with, or with every league, you get every team within that. And I mean, legally, we're bound to be very careful with these, right? And so I always we get these, I love to meet with the brand managers at the teams because I like to get that really intimate, authentic feel for what a team's customer likes.
I was going to say, like Drea just went down to visit with Miami.
Yeah. So Inter Miami
to really learn about their brand and things like that. And
they're coming up with a new stadium.
I will not stop her on that. I will not budget her on that. I will because
it's Miami. First of all, it's like anybody that knows Miami, it's like they have their yes.
But what's really cool about that is that if I encourage her to do that because she brings back all these stories and it shows up in our patterns. And like, I would argue that we are doing things that probably the consumer is like, has no idea that is being weaved into our design.
Like you showed me on that, was it on one of the jerseys? And it was like, see how the M.
Yes, so that's Inter Miami.
That was Miami, yeah.
So the legs of the great herons. So the logo on there are two white great herons, white herons, which are indigenous, is that right, to Florida, and they don't leave Florida, they don't travel, but also they have a really fast strike, and so that's a soccer thing, right, the strike. So that is part of why they chose to have these white herons on their logo. But if you look at their legs have this really cool shape, very modern shape that is often mistaken as flamingo legs. It's not heron legs, and it makes an M. And that's like just one of those really subtle things. It's the details, right? Mm-hmm. Also, in Inter Miami's logo, they have a sun. The sun happens to have 7 rays of sun, and that's for David Beckham was number 7.
That is
so. I love like information like that when you get to do a brand summit or something like that, and you find all this information, and you have the guy from the team they had the architect speak, and he came and he talked about the new stadium and how they're going to have a pink glass stairway in the store, and all these really fascinating things. Really cool. But then that, for me, is very inspiring, and I can take that information back, and I talk to my designers about it, and we talk to the sales girls, and they're like, well, a jacket would sell really well at their airport store, and I'm like, okay, so then I work with my design girl, and I'm like, take their little M legs and make a logo out of the M legs, and so it's just, that's all like a really
all informs. It informs through down the line, right? Mm-hmm. And then you in the dream stage, you kind of could take an extra step dependent upon, like, oh, well, they're putting a pink staircase in a store. We could do this on a jacket.
How many teams are that intentional, though?
I was just going to say, I think they are all...
I think you would be surprised.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I think there's a lot of intentionality. I think we are different in that way, part because we love it, but part because we're a design house. We're not just sending a note to our factory and saying, hey, what's the latest, sweatshirt look like, right? So that kind of stuff is really meaningful to us, and it comes out in very thoughtful ways in our design, which is part of storytelling, that's a lot of people that you have to share all these pieces so that they understand it. But I do think women, as a consumer, pays attention to those kinds of things.
Yeah, women love a good story.
They love a good story. It's motivating to them. And so we are really talking to her all the time. Like from the very beginning of our design.
Your hey girl.
We are talking to her. And we are, they talk to us about making men's stuff. And yes, we do that under private label, but we don't do it under our brand and everybody's like, yes, but you could be so much bigger. You could be doing so much more in sport. And we're like, but not if you believe what you're talking about earlier, about those numbers. If you really believe in those numbers, then you stay very committed to your storytelling and your intentionality, and you drive to deliver to her.
Right.
And that is really...
Yeah, the other stat that surprised me was that 75% of the discretionary spending now is
done by
the woman in the house.
Yeah,
they control it. So before we stop, because at some point we're going to have to stop. I don't want to... We'd be remiss not to talk about this new deal with Bass Pro. You mentioned Bass Pro not too long ago. Mm-hmm. You guys are making camo cool. I guess camo's kind of cool already, but you've done this really cool thing. 14 colleges, right?
Yep. They chose the colleges. So it's an interesting partnership. It actually is with the collaboration, which collaborations are super hot in sport, right? Because they do allow other people to participate in sport without having to go through the licensing process. So it's smart of the leagues, I think. It introduces these cultural moments and things like that are happening because of these collaborations, right? So we collaborated with True Timber, which is Bass Pro's proprietary camo. And
I didn't know you could have a proprietary
camo.
I want one.
I'll make you a bread camo. How's that?
Careful what you say here.
Careful.
Next year's Christmas gift is from Lusso.
Yeah, right. The thing that was interesting about the camo, even though the guys that own it were like, okay, so we don't really do much with women, and
I bet they didn't even know what to say to you at first.
A little bit, but
they
what was interesting, they were
it.
super open to it, and they actually, much to their credit, they said, but we know there's a lot of women participating in our space, a lot of women in outdoors, a lot of women that hunt, fish, that type of thing. They're like, we know she's in our orbit, but we aren't, we're not doing the greatest job talking to her right now.
And just to clarify, these are college colleges, right? It's not
This
professional teams.
This particular collab is college.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when we originally started talking about it, we were like, well, camo has been in Lusso, the store, since we opened. It's always there. It does ebb and flow.
Camo's like
but
animal print,
It's
right?
It's
kind
a neutral now.
Yes. Look at you in your animal print today. In
I'm
like
neutral.
colors.
Yeah.
Totally neutral.
So like we've talked about doing animal print in colors for teams like that. We're like, oh, will that be too much for them? Will they like it? You know, that kind of thing. So we're always having these conversations. But camo exists. It's in the fashion landscape sort of permanently. But it was a hilarious conversation because Drea, of course, and they have tons of camos. That's the other thing. And they're all licensed. So they're familiar with the licensing business, right? Their patterns are licensed. And so Drea chose one and that she wanted to work on. And it's a really cool classic one. It's called Strata. It's their classic camo.
And literally my son's favorite camo for hunting.
Yes.
So
she chose that one. And then I remember her coming back to me. We were going to be meeting with them again. And she was like showing me the designs. And they were color. They were not camo anymore. They had taken on a completely new life of vivid. So this was a little bit of departure for us because it felt more game day to us. But she was like, I think this is where this works. It's collegiate. It's all the SEC, big football teams.
You got to do team color.
They're filling that stadium with their color, right?
But here's the thing, that your fabric is Lusso. Like that fuzzy. Remember when I first walked in and I was like,
yes.
I thought you were going to steal it, actually.
I don't even go to Alabama,
Right.
but I'll wear this zippy because it's soft and
Yes.
it's
So we
luxurious.
so some of the same Drea's same design aesthetics were definitely injected into the program with the details, the fabrics, the silhouettes,
The pockets.
Yes.
The pockets were there again. And Bass was the launch partner for it. So they chose 14 schools. And we carry the licensing for that. So that's our
stores
licensing.
in proximity to these particular universities.
Right.
I
So
see.
Alabama got all their
So the
Alabama
fans would
camo.
be shopping at that store and they'd go,
Yes.
oh my gosh, look
Right.
at this.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Alabama camo is down by literally in the Bass Pro Shops that are in Alabama and Texas.
And this launched September 30th?
It launched probably
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in time for it's actually really fantastic timing because it's a lot of outerwear.
Yeah, and it's for holiday gift giving.
Well, that, but also the college football playoffs race is
right.
moving into
Right.
full swing, and which is kind of crazy. We were talking about that too. We're all sitting around talking about, betting on which teams are going to make. It's kind of a funny conversation. Our husbands are kind of like, this is sort of weird watching these
Because
guys.
I was not sporty when I was young. I have definitely evolved into being sporty because I think the first time my husband heard she and I talking about who got transferred and what was happening and traded.
Yes.
It depends on
Yes,
it depends on the league.
And before anyone else because you kind of have an in now and you're like, what?
There is a little bit
And
of
my
that. All of a
husband
sudden,
was
they don't
like,
want to buy certain things. And
I
you're
don't
like,
know you.
I wonder what's happening over that. Yes, how's that
Do
happening?
you guys watch games now but you freeze and then you go, look at they're wearing our jacket? Do you do that in the
We
stands?
call that seeing our babies in the wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're at a Blues
IRL.
game and you see somebody in my sequin hat and I'm like, oh, look.
Like when we go to city soccer and
Our
there's
babies.
people walking around in our jackets and stuff like that. It's so funny. It's hard to resist not just to run up next to him and say, can we take our picture with
No,
you?
you know what? I just have to say, when that store opened right across from
The pavilion.
yes,
The pavilion
and we
store at
went
City.
there, I got teary. I was like, this is Lusso. This is our friend. Like I know these people. It was. And it was also better than any other sports store. It was. I was
St.
like,
Louis City
They
has
did a
done
nice
a
job.
really beautiful job representing
beautiful
their female
store.
fan. It's a beautiful store, and they've been really great working with
They've
us
been
as
great
well.
partners. And Josh, one thing you did ask that I wanted to go back to, because I think this has been a big evolution for us, is that we have intentional partners that we really work with now. So we're not like every team, every league. You got to have the licensing for the league to do what we're doing now. But we have really found some fantastic partners. So it might be 3 or 4 teams in the MLB that we do a lot of work with because they are like, we're going to take this trip with you. What does it look like to have women walk in our store and be like, oh, that was for us. They made that for us. They thought about us. They bought for us. and they're merchandising it for us.
All of it.
We're not just kind of random in with all the other stuff. Like they want to make a statement. They call it different things. They call it women's impact statements. They are women in women's impact areas, women's statement area. They have different language for it. But what it is they want the collection story. They want women to know that they've seen them, they've heard them, and that they're being intentional about delivering to them.
So even if you aren't doing it, are you seeing the same thing happen with men's apparel with the fans?
What do you mean by?
I mean, are you seeing intentionality and better? Like, are you seeing other manufacturers
I think
or other designers?
Some of that. I think there's some of that.
Are you influencing
I mean,
the whole space?
I think there's some of that. I think you see it more in the women's space, partly because we have to work harder. We just have to work harder to show up and be seen and get bought, and like it is a tougher space. And I honestly think that some people, for them, they really don't have to work too hard. They're going to show up and they're going to buy their hats. Like so there's some people that, and I think that's sort of a bummer sometimes because I don't know that people work as hard at it then. And so and you see fans kind of starting to be like, I want something different, which is where collaborations happen.
You don't know it until you see it. Like when I walked into that City store and saw Lusso on the racks, I was like, oh, this is what has always been missing for me. This was why I never got really or cared about a jersey. But I care now.
Funny story about that. Yesterday we were we did the Fashion Fund event, and everybody told us, because they were with the Wes Gordon during the day. We just went to the event in the evening with him. But everybody came up to us and said, Chancellor's wife wore your sweater all day today. And I was like, what? And they were like, because we just started making merchandise for Wash U. But we sell it through Follett, who sells to all the bookstores in the country, right? But they did this collection, and she there's all these pictures floating around of her out there front and center.
Are
with
they
our
tagging you guys?
She's sweater on it.
Cute.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's cute and stylish and everything. And I saw her at the reception afterwards, and she's like, everybody asked me. She's like, we need to keep this rolling. Women want this. We need this. She said, I walked into that bookstore, and she said, and I saw that, and I went straight for it. There was this whole collection of your stuff, and she said, I didn't know it was your stuff. She said, I know you guys. I have your City sweater. I have
it makes it even.
And she said, but I walked straight up to it, and she said, I looked at the tag, and I was like, it's Lusso. She said, because that you guys know who you're after. She's like, don't stop doing it.
And there's a heck of a lot more women going to college now than men.
Yes.
I mean, it's like you guys are riding the
campuses,
wave, right?
Yes, and the women, the young girls are like, we want our stuff. Right. They're really delivering that message, which is kind of cool about having our multi-generational business.
Yes.
They're very inspired by it and really think it's cool.
So we're going to get you into the women's NBA next.
The WNBA.
The W.
We would, yes.
The winner. The winner NBA.
Yes. We love the W.
Yes.
We're fans. So
I want you guys on those walking Instagram fit check reels, all of it.
It is an interesting thing that like you kind of have to get licensed with men's sports to then be valid enough to get licensed with the women's sports.
No.
It's kind of a crazy thing, but we are licensed with the NWSL, so that's our first full women's league, and we're super
working on the
excited about
PWHL, working on the PWHL.
Yep.
Like really working at that. So
okay. Oh, I'm here.
It's a lot of
I'm here
acronyms
for all
being
of
thrown
it.
out.
It is.
Well, we are incredibly inspired by you guys. So,
Yeah.
Melissa,
We love
thank you
that.
for joining me today,
I
because
know,
I
it
know
was
that
awesome.
Thank you
you're
for
a big
inviting
fan.
me. I'm a big fan of fashion. It's one of my passions, and I love all Melissas.
Yes.
So
The Melissa end of the table.
That's right. Well, continued good luck to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you for
be
having
watching
us.
and cheering along.
Yeah,
Always.
we've loved spending time with you guys, and then as I said, we need to deliver
we're
a
gonna
little
dress
merch
up the
down here.
space.
Yeah, we'll help the studio out.
Yes, We'll make sure you have some stuff. We'll make sure you have
Fun sports merch.
And happy holidays to you guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed sharing these insights from folks I truly admire. Be sure and follow the show in your favorite podcast player to be alerted to newly released episodes. And share a comment if you have any feedback or future contributor recommendations.